and welcome back to another episode of Chicks in Construction. I'm your host, Mickey Paradise, and today we have an illustrious guest, Elizabeth, owner of Top Empire Painting, and I'm very excited to have you on, so welcome.
Thank you. I'm super honored to be on here.
Listen, she's nervous. I'm just gonna tell you right now, we're gonna get a few things out of the way. She's nervous.
Yes.
Also, my dogs are on a tear today. So I didn't want to turn on the anti-bark device because I feel like my one dog has PTSD from it. So I set it out in hopes that just its presence would make them not bark, and that's not happening. Prime's on full alert, so you're going to hear Prime barking, and I'm sorry about that, but I just don't want to waterboard them.
No.
So I feel like that's what the anti-bark device is, because they look at it and they're like, oh God, not that thing. And I'm like, what does it sound like? It must be terrible. So Prime's just going to bark. Sorry, guys. So she's nervous. My dogs are barking. We're doing the best we can. We're podcasting, okay? Everybody calm down. We're in my basement right now. It's not that serious. So, all right. You own a residential?
Yes, painting company.
And so what do you guys like specialize in?
I would say the biggest thing that we specialize in is like repaint.
Okay.
So we do a lot of repaint for exterior, interior. We do some drywall, but that's not really like our primary focus. That's if it needs to get done, depending on the job, then we'll do that. And I would say that's really the biggest thing. We really specialize in just wanting to have a really good paint job.
Yeah, I will say, so we met at like a networking event.
Yes.
And I don't do residential. We've talked about this on almost every single podcast that we've ever posted. I'd say it again and again and again, just so everybody knows I don't do residential drywall or paint. Please don't email me about repainting your master bathroom or whatever we're calling it now. The ensuite. I don't know. But you can call her. So I had a friend who went on his own. He worked for a big GC that was a client of ours. He was a delight. I'd go so far to say a fucking delight, Colin.
Oh, yeah.
A chef's kiss of a man he was. And he went on his own and he had some small projects. And he was like, can you do the drywall for me? And I was like, oh God, no, I hate this stuff. But I did it for him because he was a good guy. And I used them for the paint. And they were so good. I was like, hey, Colin, just hire them for the paint. Like, just have them do it. And so there was I knew we did 2 projects and then he just took you guys over. And so they do some like new construction or like remodel paint. But I think the most important piece to talk about is the residential repaint, because that's like, you're coming into somebody's house existing, but we're going to get into that first. So like, how did you get into paint? Like tell us the scoop. What's the tea?
So my husband actually started with painting about 9 to 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And so he just kind of started off painting, kind of wanted to see what it was like. But the biggest thing that he could not stand was how dirty always like the spaces were. Like it drove him up a wall. He was like, I don't even know how people can like function working with all this stuff in here. It was just a lot.
Oh yeah. Chaos. Have you ever been... Okay, here's a fun thing. Go to an apartment complex and find a white van.
Oh.
The dirtiest, like shadiest looking white van on the job. That's the painter's van. The doors will be open. Open it. And it's like, what? What is happening? How does anybody find anything in here? Like, when I need something from one of my painter's vans, I'm like, well, I'll be back in an hour. And there's no way I'm going to find it at the first gate. Like, there's no way. You have to, like, know the hidey hole that it's hiding in. Ridiculous. So she's not lying. Like, painters, I'm a painter.
They just have, like, a bunch of buckets everywhere thrown with everything just kind of, like, smacked on top of each other.
And they get paint everywhere. Everywhere. So, like, I literally just stopped fighting with my painter about using a damn drop cloth. I was like, actually,
you're joking.
I just stopped. I was like, I just pay a cleaner to come behind and clean.
That's actually really smart.
Because it's like, listen, I've been using this painter for 10 years. I've been yelling at this painter for 10 years about cleaning keeping in the drop cloth. Like, I'm like, for the love of God, Armando. And he's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm just like, don't be sorry. Use a drop cloth. I don't need you to be sorry. Just use a drop. They won't.
They won't do it.
They will not. And like, honestly, No painter does, except
we definitely
I walked into this job and it was a subfloor. So technically they could have not covered it because like it was going to get carpet on it. They had this subfloor, the entire subfloor covered in plastic. Like fucking around, 0%.
No, yeah.
0%.
We don't do none of that. Like
no shenan. They're not shenaning once or shenaning again.
No.
There's none of that. So
that's how we got started into it, was just like that. And then he eventually was like, like this drives me crazy. People aren't clean. He couldn't stand that they didn't care about details. And imagine like at this point, it wasn't even his jobs. It was just like the integrity of like, I don't want to leave this job like
the way that it is.
The way that it is. And so obviously like homeowners can notice when there's painters that are being very like precise, being very clean. And they would always ask him like, oh, like, do you do any subcontracting? And he's like, no, like I just paint. Like, I don't do any of that. And so then eventually, like, I think is what like planted the seed of like, why don't I though?
Right.
Kind of like he was thinking maybe I should try it. And so then obviously he brings that to my attention. I was like, we should definitely do this because like, we already have like all of the tools. Like right now we just need to get the van, get the branding, get the LLC. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And so then that's kind of where it all started, was like in 2020, the first year was solely focusing on like subcontracting.
Yeah.
And then after that, we just were like, no, like, let's go full throttle in this and like, let's build a business based off how we want to work. Because even when you're doing subcontracting, even that, like you have
less control. Like
you just do.
I would never, but we hear stories all the time of subs not getting paid. Because basically like how when you're subcontracting, you're working for the person who got the contract. So there's like levels. There's like the main contract, which you don't have. And then there's the under the contract. And so every step away from the main contract that you lose less and less rights. You have less and less rights in the event of like not getting paid. And so it can be tricky and people are shady.
They truly are.
Yeah.
So we learned that as well, that we just would rather just kind of build that relationship with the client from like the estimate all the way to like the very end. And so then that's how we started. And we just started going to like networking events, meeting people. And then really just word of mouth got out. Like, we had already met some interior designers that had already like us from like previous jobs. And they were like, we really want to work directly with you guys. Cause like you guys do a very precise job. And like
precision is key.
That's what we want to like give to our clients. So we really honestly have been blessed in this business. And it definitely has been word of mouth, just having integrity and trying our hardest to make every single job like long lasting.
Yeah. Like thinking about it as like, how many times does somebody repaint the exterior of their house? Like a lot of contractors will go in and be like, I'm never going to see these people again. Mm-hmm. But if you look at it like, I'm going to see them, they're going to hire me for the next job. It's not even just that. They're also going to recommend me to all of their friends. They're going to, like, when anybody needs a painter, they're going to be like, oh my God, Tap and Bar Painting, they're the absolute best. You can use no one else. Like,
yes.
I mean, that's how I am. And it really is integrity based. So like, I would recommend them even if we weren't related, but my nephew owns an HVAC company and there are so many shady ass HVAC companies.
I have heard really bad stories.
Oh my God, today. Like he actually started his own company because he was so tired of getting in trouble for not selling people things they didn't need.
Oh, wow.
So he worked for one of the big ones and he'd go out and they needed a $5 part. So he just did the $5 part. And they were like, why didn't you replace the system? And he was like, because they didn't need a new system. And so like he ended up just doing his own thing because he's like, I just can't deal with this anymore. Wow. And they're just the most honest. It will never sell you anything that you do not need. And so that matters to me to the point where like, I will shout it from the rooftops. Like, I don't know how many Facebook Lives I've done where I'm like, best HVAC company ever. And I do really think that like, that's for you guys, it's the integrity. It's like the attention to detail. We're very clear with
what we're going to do.
Yeah. Like that people love that and they want to recommend that. So like, I can imagine that has helped you guys grow quite a bit.
100%, because I feel like one of the biggest things that we have run into has been like not really having an issue with a lot of clients because of the fact that we have such clear communication. Like they know what to expect from the very first day. And like we literally in the estimate will say, and this is what we are not doing. These are the areas we're not, because of the same thing. I just feel like you want to have real clear communication.
Oh my God. All this podcast is just for homeowners to have better experiences. And one of the things that comes up so much, like when we get these homeowner horror stories, is they didn't tell us like what the process was. And so what we realized is there's a really big gap between like a homeowner's expectations and like reality. And the way that you get on the same page is communicating. Like we find that a lot of homeowners expect like during their renovations for there to be somebody there every single day.
Yeah.
And that's just not how construction works. Like unless you're doing an extreme home makeover, like there's gonna be gaps like between when the tile guy can come and the, you know, the this and the that and the this, oh, the drywall's gotta dry and then we have to sand it. So there's gaps. And we find that like most bad contractors that are ending up on, you know, in our inbox, it's because they didn't communicate. Like, here's what to expect. Here's how many days it's going to take. We're going to do this process and this process and this process. And here's the days that will take. And, you know, if anything comes up, we'll call you and let you know. And people are like, oh, once you do that, they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because there's like, they have peace of mind.
Yeah.
And
you let them know what to expect. And I think that's like, the first way for a subcontractor to like have a bad experience is by not being like, okay, so here's what we're doing and having like really great contracts.
Yes.
Like very clear, this is the scope of work we're performing, that we are not performing these things, and here's the price. I mean, those things give everybody peace of mind.
Correct.
Like I was at this conference and this lady said something like, being clear is being kind. And I was like,
I like that.
I like that. Because like a lot of people will think like, I'm very just like, here's the deal. Like, here's my contract. Here's the things I'm not accepting in the contract. Like I'll do an addendum. And everybody who works with me is like, you're the only one who reads their contracts. And I was like, that's scary because y'all sneak some shady ass shit in there sometimes. And they're like, well,
you know what though? Like that's actually crazy to me. Imagine having a contract and you don't actually read what you're
signing.
And
then how about a 95 pager? And I get it. They're filling that thing full of stuff to discourage you from reading it. But I'm like, oh, the more pages, the more I'm reading it. Like,
I mean, it literally can come back to you. You don't know
100%. Like, oh God. So contract is like my thing. But being clear is being kind. So like, I'm very clear in what we're doing and what we're not doing. And that's a kindness to my clients. And the same thing for you, like being very clear about here's how we work, here's what to expect, here's when to expect it. That's a kindness, I think. And it shows in like your growth. And I think it's also, you guys have social media.
Oh yeah.
No painter in the history of ever. I'm sure there actually are painters, but like, I don't know any because like they don't want to put their shit work online. They're like, we don't need pictures of this. But they have great social media, so you can go to their social media and see a lot of befores and afters, and they kind of sometimes do like during the process, so you see that they have the entire floor covered and you see how clean the job site is and like all of that.
Yeah, I honestly think that social media has been the biggest tool for us, especially this year, because we've had so many people that have told us like, who's doing your social media? And my husband would be like, my wife, she does the social media. Because my husband does not know how to handle.
Like, no.
He doesn't even know how to like upload a reel. He doesn't know what that is.
Yes, that's fair.
And so they ask him like, who's doing it? Because honestly, I really liked your website and I liked the estimate, but the social media really sold me because you guys show everything.
Yeah.
And we can literally physically see evidence of good work.
And people have to understand that like the generation now that's hiring painters for repaints and they're on Instagram. Like when I started, I mean, the internet existed. Like I'm not that old, but like, I don't think like iPhones existed yet. We were on Nextels, okay? We were walkie-talkieing it up, okay? It was breaker, come back, 10-4. I mean, that's what we had.
That is so funny.
Smartphones didn't exist. I don't think social media exists. I think Facebook existed, but it was like still in the era of for college students. Like you had to have a college email to get a Facebook. Like that's what was happening when I started my business. And I'm just like, so this evolution of social media and the time that's gone by, it's 20 years, everybody that was, in college then, they all have houses now and they all need repainters, but they're on Instagram and they're gonna check
Facebook,
and
TikTok.
see. Yeah, they're gonna check and see. Like, and if you're the only painter who has Instagram, they're like, we're definitely giving them our job. Like, it's just one of those things.
Yes.
One of the things that we talked about in like prep for this was talking about like where homeowners go wrong when hiring a painter and understanding like what is a reasonable and unreasonable expectation. So this kind of came up because Jess bought a townhouse and it's going to be an Airbnb and it's not like at the beach. It's like 14 miles from the beach. So it's still in like beach territory. And I don't know if like that just means everything costs more. I don't have a beach house. Okay. Just have fucking dogs, a lot of them. They're very expensive. So I know that like labor at the beach is more expensive, but she called me like having palpitations because she had a bunch of painters come and they were all around $6 a square foot.
Wow.
And I was like, listen, I know that like a residential repaint is way more, they get way more than new construction paint. Yeah. But $6 a square foot, what are we painting? Like, and so I think that is an unreasonable price, and I understand her being like balking at that. But what are like the differences between like you and like the lower number? Like as far as service, as far as like what you're getting. And I know you can't like speak to it exactly because you're not the other company.
Yeah.
But like in your experience.
I would say that really the biggest difference between us and a cheaper painting company would 100% be that the clear communication of explaining everything that's actually going down and not just like telling the client through a text or an email of like, this is what we're going to do. Like there's no like written contract.
Yeah. And I mean, that is huge. 9 times out of 10, they would just give you a number. They're like this much. And it doesn't say like what kind of paint you're using. It doesn't say what you're doing. It's like this much. And it's like, well, hopefully he understood I wanted the ceilings painted, you know, like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're being really specific with the areas, the products that you're using, why you're using them. So like if you're painting a bathroom, you're going to use satin because satin is better. You're not going to use flat. Flat is going to peel.
Yeah.
You know, so like the products matter, but you're also not just paying for paint. I think that's the biggest reason why people go with the wrong, or homeowners go with the wrong painting companies, because they're thinking, okay, well, like I can just go to, you know, Sherwin-Williams and get this tub of paint and do it myself. But really it's like you're painting for a skilled professional.
Yeah.
You're paying for labor, materials. And so really in the end of the day, like you want to make sure that you're getting somebody that's being really communicative with you from the beginning, but then also has the right experience. Because we've also had people that are just like on Facebook and they're like, I'm just going to do this job for like $50 and we'll see it on there.
Yeah.
I mean, my husband and I get so frustrated because we're like, they're going to do this for $50, but they don't do the prep.
Yeah.
They don't use the right products.
Yeah.
They're going to probably do it like in half the time, they're going to cut corners.
Oh God. Yeah.
And so.
And a lot of times, like, here's the thing. I'm trying to say this delicately, as delicately as I can. I'm not saying that painting is not a skilled trade, because it is. But I'm going to tell you that anybody can just wake up one day and buy a paintbrush and they're a painter.
Correct.
You just ask them and they'll tell you. But there's a difference between, I've been doing this for 10 years and I've learned just cover the damn floors, because if I don't, I'm going to have to clean paint up off all this carpet, and that's not worth it to me. Like there's that level of experience has a lot of value. And the amount of time that a professional painter can get something done versus you doing it yourself, it will hurt your feelings. I'm going to tell you right now. Okay? I'm going to tell you right now. It's offensive. You think you're like, it's going to be fine. I'll buy my own paint. Jess is in this right now. She just decided, she's like, screw it. We're going to paint 1,400 square feet. I'm like, you're going to be there for 3 weeks. It's going to take you 3 weekends to paint that whole thing. Like, and whereas they would come in, probably 2 days.
Correct.
No, I don't even know if it would be a full day, like a full 2 days. Like they're just, when you hire a professional, the speed in which they move and the precision in which they move, especially when they have the experience and they're really skilled, it is insane. And this travels across all the board with all things. Like we very unfortunately had a project that we went with a new painter on, and I was really excited to work with him. I was so excited. I was like, we're going to build an empire. And he swore to God that he had commercial experience. And he was like, yeah. And I was introduced by our paint rep that said, he vouched for him. So I give him a almost $800,000 paint contract. And turns out, no, he didn't have any experience. Because you can tell in how quickly the painters move. So like, it's that speed that you know how much experience somebody has. It's like speed mixed with also not dumping paint on the floor and then playing in it.
Yes.
Like doing the dances with like there's footprints all over because you stepped in the paint and then you did a little jig all over the floor. That's happened. I'm not making that up. This is my life.
Oh my goodness.
Painter. This is my life. I chose this. So like there is a lot that comes with, listen, you can DIY your paint. Like you can do it. You can do it. It's going to take you 7 times longer than a professional. You're going to hate it the whole time. You're going to hate every step of it.
Yeah.
Like I am a painter and I hate painting.
Yeah, honestly. We love painting, but we hate it's a love.
Yeah, it is love hate.
It is a love-hate relationship.
Like, you love being done. You're just like,
we love to see the final result. I think that's what keeps us going on there.
100%.
It's just so much fun.
I will say, like when you complete a job and you're like,
it just looks amazing.
Like, oh, I nailed that. Like that makes painting worth it. Because honestly, whoo, may the Lord have mercy. But so like things that we want you guys to know, because that's like a lot of times it's like, what should this cost?
Yes.
And so obviously it depends. There are so many factors. Like if you want your trim mold, if you want your ceilings painted, if you just want the walls, like this is going to change the price sometimes drastically. But like on average, is there like a square footage price that people should like be in range of for residential repaint? Or is it like really hard to give that because it also depends on the product that they want?
So with square footage, it's really interesting because it really does depend on a couple of factors. People need to take into consideration like the height of your house. They need to take into consideration, do they have wainscoting on the walls?
Yeah.
Like what type of products that they want to use as well. But then also like there are a lot of like underlying issues sometimes in like houses. And like those are things that we take into account. So for example, we've had clients that sometimes they're like, oh, like I just want you to come over here and smack some paint on there. But then as we're doing that, we notice that there's like a rotten wood situation going on. And so like that needs to get fixed first.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons why with square footage, we're not super keen on being like, it's this specific number. We always take into account multiple factors.
Okay.
But I think on average, depending on the home, it could really be like $250 to $350, really depending on the home. That's why when I heard 6, I was like,
yo, when Jess told me 6, I was like, whoa.
Definitely, I think that might be location.
Yeah, I'm like, what do you paint with? Gold paintbrushes? Like, I was just like, okay, we're clearly working in the wrong area. So, and with that, like between, $2 fit. No, you didn't say it. You said $250.
$250 to
$250 to $350-ish.
Yeah. That's
where you're getting a good quality paint. It may not be the top tier because that might put you a little bit over. Because listen, y'all.
Yes.
Paint is expensive. So
that's another thing people don't take into consideration.
Like they don't, especially if you haven't gone and bought a gallon of paint lately. As a painter who with a commercial account, I wanted this dark blue. And they only, Sherwin-Williams is, don't get me started. They would only make this dark blue in this one type of paint.
Oh.
And it was $101. And that's professional painter price per gallon.
Yeah.
And I literally looked at him and I said, sir, dead in the eye. I was like, are there unicorn tears in this paint? Like, how do you justify the discounted price being $101 a gallon? So, like, it depends. You can pick a paint color that can only be made in a certain product, and it's more expensive than maybe what they had, initially planned for. So you have to factor in, like, if you want to paint your house black, which is trendy AF right now.
It really is.
Understand that is going to take so much. It's going to cost more because there's so much more pigment in black paint. There's so many more coats that have to happen. Like, you think like black would be easy, but
no, it's not.
It is not. It's not easy. And then there's like, you have to use the right product because it's so dark, there's something called flashing, where like it can be shiny in some spots, but then matte in others, and that's
correct.
So, like, the more crazy you get with your interior design choices, the crazier and the spicier the price can get. And so that's something, like, all paint colors, it's not just like, oh, paint colors are paint colors. If you want multiple colors, like, that's
that makes a
difference. Because if you have
difference.
to think about it, guys, they have to change out all their brushes, they have to change out all their rollers, they have to do a whole cleanup as if it were the end of the day, and then start again with the new color. So every time you change colors or you want a different color, like that, there's a cost to that.
Correct.
So I just don't think people explain it in a way that is like, oh, that makes sense. I mean, if I explain to you, like, these people essentially are like packing up like they're going home and then pulling out a new paint color, people are like, oh, that makes sense why that would cost more.
And I think also, like, another thing clients can also ask the painter too, which I don't think always happens, and sometimes we just straight up offer it, is taking into consideration sometimes the colors that they're picking. We don't ever tell a client like pick this specific color.
Yeah.
But sometimes clients will tell us kind of like a vision that they're having. Like, I want it to look super bright in here. A really popular color this year has been Greek Villa from Sherwin-Williams, which is like this beigey off-white kind of color. But what most people don't know, and unless you tell them, they're really not going to know, is if you have a yellow light, then you're going to get that effect that you want, which is that bright, really nice open concept space. But if you're using like a really bright white light, your house is going to look dingy and yellow. So it's the complete opposite.
That is so good to know.
So that's another thing too. I think, like, when you're picking your contractor, like, actually, having someone that genuinely cares about the craft. Because for us, we want the client to be just as happy as we want to be with the job.
Yeah.
And so kind of having a little bit of that education on like why colors, look better in this type of setting versus that one.
That's
and
amazing.
Then also, like, giving them the choice, like, do you want us to go do like a little test run? Like, I can go bring like this color, put it on the wall, see if that's the color you had in mind. So we also offer that too.
That's awesome.
And like, like with wood as well, like we kind of try to explain as well, like with the different stains.
Oh, God.
And so like, it's just like a whole process, a whole thing.
Yeah.
I would say that those are like a few of the bigger things too that clients aren't really aware of. And most clients also don't really know about, like, what you were saying, the application of how much paint actually needs to go on the walls. Like, a lot of them think it's just like, just throw a coat of paint on there and that's fine. Most of the time, if you're going from like a dark color in your house to a light color,
5 coats.
Easily.
I mean, it's just like the best primer in the world
is still not going to make a difference.
Because the thing is like, it's like that first coat gets you a lighter color. Like, let's say you're going from a dark blue to a white.
Oh, yeah.
So your first coat of primer, you essentially have baby blue walls.
Exactly.
And then it's like the second coat, you get closer, but like, you have to understand that color is still under there and it's coming through until you get to enough coats.
Exactly.
Where you're that old color is actually being covered and it's not bleeding through or shining through. People don't, like, they think, oh, paint is paint. Trust me. Nothing is nothing. Nothing is nothing. There's always like, oh no, there's actually science that goes behind this. And there's all kinds of reasons and bleed through and blah, blah, blah. And there's certain paints that are like best for residential repaints and that should never be used in a new construction situation. And so knowing, hiring a painter that knows the right product to use in your circumstance is huge too, because that can really mess things up.
And honestly, even before we get to the paint, like, you need to make sure that the prep is good, because prep to me is like 80% of a paint job.
It really is.
It is what takes the absolute longest. And a lot of the time we've had a homeowner tell us like, okay, well, the prep, you come in, you do that, right? Like, you'll be done with that by like in 2 hours. And we're like, oh,
no. You're like,
wait a second.
prep for
an entire interior house where we're
no.
having to cover furniture, all the floors. Like, we're trying to make sure that nothing that does not need to have new paint does not have new paint on it. And so I think that that's a huge thing too. And so we've noticed that a lot. Like there's sometimes that, you know, you need to do drywall repairs, or if like the trim is bad, you need to fix the trim. Like there's always like little things in the prep that needs to get done before paint even is like applied. And so that's not usually the case.
No. So, okay, let's just talk about my life. Okay. So obviously we have quality control. So these things get caught before, you know, we turn stuff over to the owner. But I don't get to be a residential repainter, right? I'm dealing with wild men. They're wild. They're great dudes. They're wild. Painters in general are a little cuckoo. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like the fumes. I don't know if like especially like in like the multifamily setting where like we're moving so fast and they're spraying everything. I don't know if they're breathing that in. I mean, they're wearing respirators, but I don't know, you know? I don't know. The things that I have seen painters just paint over is like, what? Like the most common thing that they will just paint over in like multifamily new construction is like when the trim guy installs the door jambs, they'll use like staples.
Oh no.
And sometimes they don't go all the way in, and the trim guy doesn't give a shit. He's like, that looks good for my house.
No.
So he leaves the staple hanging out. And you know what my painter does?
No.
Like he will literally go out of his way with his paintbrush to make sure that staple is painted on both sides.
No. No. Honestly, new construction trim is the absolute worst thing that ever exists. Like it's just absolute terror.
It's like, we'll cut this up and there'll be a gap this big. They're like, you just fill that in with caulk? And I was like, what? No, that's not what caulk does. Like, what are you talking about? So yeah, like obviously new construction is a very different ballgame. And that staple would never be painted when you get it, because we would come behind them and be like, sir, were you drinking? Like, why did you do this? And it's just a different level. When you're really working with qualified residential repainters that really understand the assignment, they really understand that like this concept, which I've tried to beat into many painters throughout my career, of if you just do it right the first time,
correct,
then you don't have to do it again.
Exactly.
And what is better, doing it once or twice? You're only getting paid for the once. So like,
exactly.
Pull the staple out, or even just come find me. Like anybody, like send out an SOS. Like there's a staple. I don't want to paint over it. But residential repainters that are really skilled and really qualified, they understand these things. Now, you can still end up with somebody who's not going to pay that level of attention. And honestly, I feel like most residential repainters, you know, some red flags I want you guys to have is like if they don't have a contract.
Oh, yes.
So if they don't come to you and say, hey, and like, listen, there's some great painters out there. Like, and they're going to show up and they're going to say, hey, this is the number. And they might do a freaking stellar ass job. But we're trying to prep you guys for like worst case scenarios.
Correct.
So
that's the biggest red flag.
That's the biggest red flag. Like you want somebody who can clearly communicate, this is what we're doing. This is what we're not doing. These are the products that we're using.
And why we're using them.
Right. And these are this is the color range that you want to be in. So this is why we're using these paints. Even I, because again, not residential repaint, did not even think about having somebody who has the knowledge of like how a color looks in different lighting. Come on. That's so worth it. Like so worth it. Like at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't say it's happened to me because like I have a color palette that like, I'm like this color every time. Not exactly in here, but this is my first house. So guys don't judge me. But now I have like, this is my favorite, like Chantilly lace is my favorite white.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And it's like, chef's kiss. So I haven't had that experience of like painting a wall and being like, oh my God. But so many people.
Especially because accent walls became really popular this year.
Oh, are they back?
They're really
We're
back.
back with accent
and
walls.
lime wash. That is like another huge.
Lime wash?
Yes, lime wash has been huge too. It's like basically adding texture to like your wall, but it just kind of gives that like
your
European
interior
style.
wall?
Interior walls. We've done a few projects like that actually.
This again? Because you're going to be calling me in like 2 years wanting it scraped off. Don't do it. Y'all, it's like,
it's
like popcorn ceilings. It seemed like a great idea at the time. And now you're paying like $7 million to have that stuff scraped off your ceiling because nobody wants
popcorn.
No. Under no circumstance.
Do not give me textured ceilings.
No, oh my God. And like when I'll get like so we have contractors that they build all over, but they like a huge presence in Florida where they fucking texture everything. They're texture, yeah. And I'm like, this is the genteel South. We don't texture shit. Everything is smooth walls, smooth ceilings, everything's smooth. So when I see the plans call for texture, I'm like, immediately exclude texture. Texture is horrible. Nobody's doing texture. Nobody, no, 0%. No, we don't do texture here. And it is very like regional. Like,
yeah,
everybody in Texas and Florida is like texture. And I'm like, no, absolutely not.
No.
Because again, a smooth surface, you can go anywhere with that.
You really can go anywhere. Honestly, popcorn ceiling, I don't know when or why that ever became like a thing, but it needs to just.
I do know that my dad made $1 bajillion off of popcorn ceilings. And I was like, good for you, dude. And now I'm scraping it off. No, I'm not actually, because I don't do that anymore. But I do get panicked phone calls from friends that underbid a popcorn job. And they're like, what do I do? And I'm like, you're going to suck it up.
And now
this is going to suck for you, but you're going to learn this lesson. I'm sorry. That has happened. They're like, can you send me somebody? No, it would be your whole budget. So no, just suck it up and do it.
Now it would be your whole budget.
Yeah, very much. I'm just like, no, I'm so sorry. No, this is part of learning popcorn ceiling is from the devil. So, okay. So we've talked about like people having a contract, having clear communication. And I struggle with this because I find that a lot of the painters that I will recommend, before I met you guys, don't speak the best English.
Yes.
And it's hard, because it's like I want them to work and do well. But at the same time, like if you're doing residential repaint, you really need to be able to communicate with the homeowners. And if you can't do that, it's like if you're not bilingual and your painter can't speak enough English for you to understand like what's happening, then maybe it's not the best situation. And I hate to say that because I don't want people just because there's a language barrier to not get work.
Yeah.
But communication is so freaking important. These are the finishing touches of your house. It's the color, it's the design, it's a
luxury, honestly.
It really is.
I always have said that. I feel like painting is 100% a luxury. And that's why our slogan is literally luxury is in each detail. Because we focus on every single detail of like the house.
Yeah.
But yes, communication is like really big. And like I think that when you're not able to be clear with like a client about what's going on, it's going to make them naturally uneasy. And that sometimes has happened as well, like where there's been like a miscommunication or something like that. Not necessarily because of the English part, but more just because a homeowner doesn't know all the terminology of what they're trying to explain, of what they even want to get done.
Yeah.
And so that has sometimes taken into play. But I do think that not being able to like really clearly give your expectation and us also give ours is just a recipe for disaster.
It really is. And that is just something where if you can't like effectively communicate and especially when something goes wrong.
Yes.
Then it escalates, like that inability to communicate just feels like it escalates every problem from like, oh, this was a level 5 problem to this is a level 10 problem. I don't know what he's saying. I don't know. I have no idea. or like somebody made a really stupid comment to me about this the other day, and I wanted to punch him in the face because I was like, no, Mickey, you can't go to jail today. Wasn't in my schedule, but like it is true that sometimes if somebody that doesn't speak English or isn't fluent enough will just say okay. So you'll be like,
yes. That's so bad, but
It's so bad. It's so bad because you're like, no, but I told you, and you said okay, and they're like, I don't know, and it's like, shit. So I'm gonna highly recommend that you work with a painter that can speak enough English or you speak enough Spanish where you're comfortable in that communication, especially for your house. Like new construction painters, they don't need to speak English. Honestly, they understand the assignment and they're going to do whatever they do. And it's never going to affect you. So like that new construction painter, you're never going to meet them.
Yeah.
Like your GC is going to handle that unless you're handling it yourself. And then honestly, hire them. Seriously.
Thank you.
The problems that you just won't have when you hire a professional. So what else? Like communication, contracts, is it kind of knowing the average cost of like what and that paint, what kind of paint, what colors, if you're changing colors, all of that can affect your price.
If you do want to add texture, like if you want to do a specific design, like if you want wainscoting.
Yeah.
Also, like, because we do a little bit of all of those things, honestly, but we do primarily focus on like the painting. But yeah, there's like a lot of that goes into it. And I was trying to think what else. I feel like those are like the biggest things. Prep is definitely the biggest thing, I think, when it comes to painting.
Okay, I have this one because so we've got some feedback that we're mean about GCs. And to be fair, we are reading homeowner horror stories.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
The GCs we're talking about are bad, but we're not saying all GCs are bad, but some have said they feel a little attacked. So what do you have an experience with a homeowner that was like, they were crazy and there was just nothing you could do? Like where was the breakdown or where did you realize like, or like what if in that situation, if you could have changed anything, what would you have changed? Like give us a brief overview. Obviously we're not outing anyone here.
Yes.
We want to be respectful to our client base, but like also some people don't know how to act. Yes. And they think just because you're here to do my paint that I can talk to you however I want. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because if you could do it yourself, you wouldn't be hiring anybody. I'm just saying. I don't talk shit to my doctor, and my doctor shouldn't talk shit to me because he can't fix his own drywall. So
he can't.
Okay. So like, yeah, like give us like a brief overview of like, okay, this time it was the client.
Yeah, so this is one specific story that comes to mind is we had this homeowner. So we had already collected the deposit. We had already put our tools inside the day before because we had already done like a little couple of, I think it was like we had started prep. And we came the next day to finish doing that and to actually start painting. And he refuses to open the door. Like absolutely just refuses. And so we see him, like we can see him in the window. He's sitting in the living room. We're knocking, we're texting, we're calling. He's not answering. And so then my husband says that he just goes, hello? Like, do you see me? Like, he's like at the window. And the homeowner just turns, like, refuses to open the door. So then eventually my husband just is like, what am I going to do? So he finally calls him one last time. And he was like, hey, I need to get in here. I need to, at the very least, get my tools. If you're not wanting to start today, we had it on schedule that we were supposed to start the job. And he's just like, no. He's like, I'm not opening that door right now. I'm not having a good morning. I'm having a bad morning right now with my wife. And I just need a moment. I need a moment. Freaking out, but screaming and saying a bunch of like slurs.
Oh, fun. Love a slur. Love a slur.
And so that's, I think, the biggest lesson that we learned. This was like actually last year where we literally were like, not all business is good business.
True.
Not all. We are not meant for every homeowner and every homeowner is not meant for us.
Yeah.
That was that day. That was the day that we learned that. And so he eventually did end up opening the door. My husband grabbed everything. And I guess the guy, when he saw that my husband was like, all right, we're not doing the job. Here's your deposit.
Yeah.
Bye. He broke down in tears. It was like a whole episode.
This is novella stuff.
Novella. Like literally, like he literally looked at us. Well, he looked at my husband and he goes, please, I will pay you double what I was going to pay you before. Please just do this project.
No,
I acted out of
this is crazy.
No. And so then we literally ended up leaving. And the guy, I think, kept calling us, I think over like the course of like 2 weeks. We came back. We did it and he paid us extra. That was the end of that. Did we ever hear from this guy ever again? Absolutely not.
No.
That was
Which
like
is
the most bizarre thing we have ever
so
experienced.
Bizarre.
Like I have yet to hear someone tell us
crazy all over the place. They're crazy homeowners. There's crazy contractors. There's crazy everybody. I can't even imagine.
We tried to extend some grace, but honestly, after a while, like you can't take someone speaking to you any kind of way. That's just not. And honestly, besides that, I would say really the only other crazy thing that has happened is there's always undermining. You know, people obviously they look at my husband and I and they're like, they can't possibly be that good or know that much until they see our work. And then they're like, oh, like
because
they know
you're young,
what they're talking
so
about.
how could you be good at painting?
But this is all we have ever focused on. Like we're solely like all of our attention has been on literally perfecting our craft. And so we've had people also undermine us as well. Sometimes on jobs, even after like we've done it and they've done a good job, it's like that backhanded comment, like this looks really good, or like they just say things, but it's so always with that, you know, and we're just like, it's all right. This is weird, but we're just gonna move on.
Like, I'm sorry, what? You can literally, I don't know if this guy's taking it down or not, but you can literally go to my fucking LinkedIn and see this like raving review that this general contractor left on my LinkedIn. And it says, we took a chance on Mickey. And the chance was that I have a vagina. Like I am one of the foremost experts in my industry. I am the person you go to, especially like if you have a really complicated multifamily job. I am the person that you are, we get paid extra for that shit.
Wow.
So like my reputation as a drywall is very strong.
Yeah.
So taking a chance on me had nothing to do with my drywall knowledge, my ability to do the work. It just had the fact that I was a woman.
That is insane.
And in his mind, like he doesn't see how backhanded I really took a chance on her. Would you have said that about a man? No.
Never.
And so
and it happens all the time.
Backhanded comments, they really do. And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't think that dude meant it in a bad way, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he was coming for me. I don't think he had. It's just genuinely like ignorance. It's ignorance that really you shouldn't think a woman can do a job differently than a man for any reason.
Exactly.
Like, you shouldn't think a young person isn't capable of doing a fucking amazing job painting your house. Like we really shouldn't. But like there's just a generation of people that are just, it's shocking to them. Like I've been watching this show on HBO called Duster, and it's like back in the 70s. And it was like the first Black female FBI agent.
Oh, wow.
The shit that people, I mean, I know it's a TV series, but like I don't doubt for a second that these things happen to the first of anything, because like the shit people said to me.
I mean, no, I've literally had doctors tell us like we go to schools to be able to be like so professional and like do all this. Like doctors tell us things like that. Like you guys are actually successful and you guys didn't go to school for this. And we're just like, you're like, how do you answer those things?
Yeah, you're like,
okay. Like
I did go to school. And also, what?
It's just
you're
like
still paying off your student loans, sir.
No, like actually there's just so many like
yeah. People say the stupidest shit and you're just like,
so that's the only thing I will say about residential is I think probably the biggest difference. How you were saying like commercial, you don't really focus too much on that personal relationship.
No.
There are pros and cons to that with being in residential as painter, because we do enjoy being in residential. We do enjoy building, you know, actual relationships with the homeowners, but really there are some times where you do run into those homeowners, far in between, but they happen, where they just say things and you just don't even know how to respond. It's uncomfortable. Like,
you're like,
I just want to do a good job. Hope you're okay with that. And just move about my day. I'm going to leave. Yeah. But if you're in new construction, we don't even see, we don't see anyone. We just turn in that job and that's the end of that.
And that's where I shine. Okay. If I don't have to deal with the homeowner, and I learned this, here the hard way. I'm a licensed general contractor. We did a project. I'm not going to say that it didn't go well. I'm going to say that in that process, I realized that this is not the place for me. Because I've just been in the commercial experience where we all just talk to each other very plainly and we use construction terms and we know how long things are going to take and everybody gets it.
Yes.
You don't have to teach anybody about construction.
And you kind of do have to do that when you're working
do
with a homeowner.
100% do.
You have to explain every little detail.
I think it's so funny that I started this podcast because they're like, you're not even in residential. Like, this is not serving your business at all. And I'm like, facts. Like, and I talk about it all the time, but I'm still passionate about homeowners getting educated and understanding the different nuances and understanding what is a red flag and what isn't a red flag and things that they can do, like being respectful and not being under the impression that, like, listen, if you're watching, hey, and you're in North Carolina, also hey, and you're in the Triangle area, triple hey. But if you are under the impression that like a painter, like, or a blue collar worker is like below you, don't call them, please. Don't call anybody that I have on this show because that's not how it is. Like, no, the tradesperson is regardless, is as worthy of respect as a doctor and as a police officer and all these different things. We all are doing a job and everybody should just be respectful of that. Now listen, I get it. If the homeboy walks through your living room with his boots on and you have white carpet,
of course,
and he gets mud all over him, if you want to get a little spicy there, you can get a little spicy. But you start off with respect in all cases. And I think that will breed more respect. One of kind of the things that I hear a lot when the GCs are kind of complaining that we're doing a one-sided story is they'll tell me stories of like a homeowner that was really disrespectful. Like,
oh yeah.
Like I had this guy send me an email that one of his clients sent him. And he was like, what would you do? And I was like, commit murder. Like, this is why I don't work in residential. Because the email was the most inappropriate thing I had read.
I believe it.
In like ever. And it was like, holy crap. Like, I'm reading this going, okay, you're right. We need to talk about this side of it too.
I mean, I think sometimes people forget that they're speaking, besides it being business, you're speaking to a person. Like, at the end of the day, that's really, really what it comes down to. Another thing too, that I feel like it's good that we're talking about how you have that experience too with like the paint and like the drywall, but obviously it's like in the commercial scope of things. And I'm like in the residential side of everything, is that I feel like when you're picking a contractor, not picking the one that says they know and do it all. That is why we are repaint specialists.
You ain't lying. She's not lying.
Because when we hear that, I'm automatically like, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Because when you're good, it's kind of like that saying, a friend to all is a friend to none. I think it's the same thing with this because it's like, when you know how to do everything, you don't focus on anything in specific. So you're just kind of like doing a bunch of random things.
And I agree with this wholeheartedly in the sense that like a lot of people have tried to get us to do work other than new construction multifamily. They'll be like, oh, what if you did this? And what if you... And I'm like, no, because honestly, I'm so freaking good at this one tiny niche of construction.
Exactly.
I am an expert. I am the expert in this industry. So no, I don't like, it's not because I'm afraid to go out and do other work.
Because you can always learn.
Right. I can always learn. But like, I'm so good at this. I want to stay here where I can make the biggest impact and like be the best at what I do. And it is 100% true with painters. But if anybody claims like, oh, I can do new construction, I can do repaint, I can do it. Oh, run. Definitely run. Don't walk, run. Because a residential repainter couldn't function on a new construction, like on like a multifamily job. You have to throw caution to the wind. The expectation of you on time exceeds like those general contractors. They care about quality. They don't care about quality the way a homeowner cares about quality.
Yeah.
They want it done. They want it done fast. And so you have to move. And there's no spending 2 or 3 days prepping in multifamily new construction. So if somebody says, oh, I can do this and I can do that and I can do, no, they can't. They can do one of those things and you don't know which one it is. A new construction repainter is not going to do well in a multifamily new construction setting because they're going to want to go in and they're going to want to prep it right because they're like used to dealing with homeowners. And a new construction painter is not going to do well in a residential repaint because
they're going to want to move fast.
They're going to want to move fast. And they're like, they're not going to pay attention to those details. They're not going to, you know, that level of like repairing drywall before you paint it. That is a very specific and a very skilled painter that's going to take the time to fix that, then just paint over it. So a new construction painter is going to paint right over that. A residential repainter is going to be like, okay, let me pull this weird, you know, staple out of this door trim, and then I'll putty that door trim, and then I'll paint it. Or, oh, there's a divot in this drywall. Let me just take some hot mud and fix it so that it's smooth. You're only going to get that from a residential repainter. And it's a really good point. It's like, if somebody says they do all.
Yeah, or if like they're in the middle of doing something and we, for example, we will not just paint. Like if we've noticed that there's like a deeper issue, we're going to let the homeowner know that first. And unfortunately, not everyone has that level of integrity. No. And so like, for example, there's a mold situation. We're not just going to paint and be like, oh, like there's a lot of moisture stuff going on here. If there's like a leakage, we're not just going to, we've had situations like that where they're like, just paint it. And it's like, we're not paint. Like that's our reputation. And you know, then, because what about if this gets worse? It's like, oh, it was the paint or it was. Right. So it's always like, you got to make sure that that foundation, that the surface is good first before you do it. Because I really do think paint is like the last thing. It's like the luxury. It's like the little added touch.
Everybody sees. It's what everybody sees. And the painters get picked on the worst because if the drywall sucks, everybody's saying it's the paint. And it's like, no, that's terrible drywall. I know.
If there's drywall tape, we need to fix that.
Right. Like we don't just paint over drywall tape. What are you doing?
And that happens a lot. It's terrible. Or if there's like rotten wood on the outside of your house. I also think that that's like another thing, like when you're doing estimates, like the estimate, yes, it's important. Like you want to make sure you're sending it out. But when I think the contractor gets to the actual job site and is doing the estimate, from there, you should know if they're being thorough with everything. Yeah. I think that we need to change this or this, and like giving your genuine advice about what you're seeing is really important because sometimes there's rotten wood. And we always like say, like when we see rotten wood on the outside of the house, we're like, if we happen to find more, we will make you aware before we proceed. If you want to continue to fix this, price. Always, because you need to just, again, be very open about what's going on. Yeah. And then everyone's happy. I mean, it's really just that simple.
You mentioned that you guys take deposits. What's your deposit policy?
100%. Like if it's a job that's like under, I would say 8,000, it's like about, I want to say 25 to 50%. If it's a job that's over 10,000, then it's usually only like 20 to 25%. We don't take half of like a really huge project.
So this is a big topic on the pod. Because where we find that people get taken advantage of the most and really screwed over is with the deposit, is paying the deposit and then them never coming back or them not feeling comfortable with, you know, them, but they have this deposit. So now they're like, I have to deal with them. Yeah. So like we talk with everybody about deposit. So what is the reasoning for you guys behind like a 25% deposit?
So 25% is really the biggest thing, is making sure that we're secured for the actual, because again, like that situation with the guy, right? We got to the job site and then he was like, I'm not opening the door. We're not going to do it. So that's a prime example of that. It's just being secure of that. Like they know, and we both know that this is happening. We're doing this day. Materials, the paint, that's really like the biggest thing. But like, at least for us, like we collect deposit, like the actual day, like the project starting, like so we don't collect it before. We don't ask for anything in advance.
Okay, so when you start,
when they physically see it starting, the prep's happening, then that's when we ask for the deposit.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Because I feel like for us, it just makes the most sense. Why? We don't need it before, you know?
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes
And if it's a way bigger job, like let's say like a way bigger house, then that's a little bit different. Because if it's like a job that we know we're gonna need a lot of paint, a lot of it, that kind of might change the situation a little bit. But for the most part, with the houses that we're working in the day that we start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a reasonable request on the deposit. It's like, I will be there physically working. My guys have showed up. We are physically working. And, we are going to take this deposit and go buy paint.
Yep.
Okay. That makes sense. But I love that you don't take it in advance. We're really trying to encourage people away from doing things like that. Like, unless equipment needs to be ordered.
For example, with lime wash, that's a different story. We have to order lime wash beforehand because the specific brand that we use for lime wash, it takes at least 5 to 6 business days for it to come in.
Okay.
It's not just like I can go to Sherwin-Williams or Benjamin
Moore.
Moore.
Like that, would you just ask for the amount for that?
Correct. And that's
then you would take the rest of the deposit when you guys start.
Exactly right.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, and so that's where it's like we're trying to encourage homeowners
and
to
ask questions.
Think logically about deposits. One of the things like on big renovations, I'm encouraging people to consider is putting their deposit into an escrow account.
That's actually really smart.
Right? GCs are so mad that I am saying this because it takes extra steps for them to get paid. But I'm like, but it's so safe. Many people have gotten screwed over from paying deposits, and this makes them feel comfortable. Like, why not do everything you can? If you don't have shady intentions, why not do everything you can that make people feel the most comfortable? And I understand that there are more, people that need renovations than there are qualified people to do it. But that's where offering that escrow thing, I think, is very considerate of the homeowner and what the homeowner's risk that they're taking on.
Especially with those jobs where people want like a 20,000.
Oh, plus, yeah. Like some of our homeowner horror stories, like the deposit was $25,000.
That's really scary.
They paid it, and these people just took absolute advantage of them, and they're like still in legal battles with them.
Wow.
So like that's where I'm like, deposits are tricky. But I think that deposit makes sense. So, okay. So we've talked about contracts, communication, being polite, knowing the products you're going to use and knowing,
why.
The why. What else is there? Do you think we've covered it all?
I feel like we've covered most of everything. Yeah. I don't feel like we're missing anything. I'm trying to think. No.
Okay. We've covered it all, guys. You're welcome. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
The more people that we can get in front of different trades to like hear why certain things matter, I think is beneficial to the homeowner. We're just trying to educate. Remember, please go to the website, chicksandconstruction.com, and share with us your homeowner horror story if you have one, because it is so helpful and beneficial for other people to learn from other people's mistakes. I think that is like a communal, like a community type of way of like sharing and giving back to others, is sharing your story so that other people don't make the same mistakes. And so that we can help people understand kind of where things went wrong and how to avoid that in like their circumstances coming up. So please definitely go to the website and share your homeowner horror stories. You can obviously, Jess would be like, you have to like and you have to subscribe to all of our socials, to the Chicks in Construction podcast on Instagram, on Facebook. Like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, these things matter to the algo. So we're just trying to keep the algo happy, and there we are. Where can they find you? Your website, your socials, like.
You can find us on Instagram and Facebook under Top Empire Painting, and then on TikTok under Top Empire Paint. And then we also have our website as well, so topempirepainting.com.
That is legit. We'll link all of those down below in the show notes or underneath the video so that you can just click and go check out their amazing work. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.